Welcome to All Verse Thursdays. It is Thursday, October 8th. It's a beautiful day here. I'm in Maryland. I don't know what it's like and where you are, but it was absolutely beautiful today. Started off, close to 60 degrees and then got up into the high 70s with a nice little wind. If you're a golfer, man, it was a great day to be outside playing golf. If you're a walker, it was a great day to outside walking. It was just really a great day to commune with nature, and how often do we really get to get out there and be with nature in a way that just, lets us connect and breathe. And so, I love this song here, and I'm going to try it just one more time. Y'all know I'm going to try it one more time because this is how I'm feeling right now. Now, if you can hear the song, hopefully you can hear it coming through the system. I actually hear it outside here in my life. Welcome, Facebook user. Hello, Mark. Gorgeous day here in Jersey too. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Yeah, if you're joining us on Twitch, go ahead and just jump in the chat. We appreciate having you here. We're looking forward to really an amazing show tonight. You just never know what's going to happen, what's going to be the actual thing that's going to happen. But what I will know is that God always shows up. Not only does God show up, but when I show up, God shows out. And so I'm looking for God to show out tonight. Anybody else want God to show out tonight? Good evening. You in Maryland now, man? Yeah, I'm in Maryland. I was in New York, but then after that, the year and a half since then, I was in New Jersey. And I've been in Maryland now about 2 months. So we're really having a good time. We're really having a good time. Hey, if you're good now, if you're good, if you're joining, if today was a good day, if anything good happened to you today, just put it in the chat. I'm good. I'm good. I want to hear who's good out there tonight. Good, being good, and there's a phrase there's a song. This song is by Tim Bowman. This just is a track. It's not him actually singing it. So hopefully we won't get kicked out for being on, playing the music in the background. But he says, I'm good. I'm good enough, right? And the song to me just has some Lawanda, I'm glad you're good. I'm good too. And that post you put up yesterday about the debate just had me cracking up. I was laughing this morning thinking about that, Luanda. I'm glad you're good. I know a lot of us got kids that are almost grown. They've been thinking they was grown. I remember when I was 19 years old, you probably couldn't tell me nothing. And if you got kids, we want to just send out a word and a word of energy and love to them that they're good, right? And we get to remind our kids, especially our young Black kids, that they're good. They're better than good, right? Because they don't often hear that, especially some of our kids that's coming up in these school systems where they just don't get the support of being able to celebrate who they are, right? I remember a couple of years ago, my daughter was applying to college, and real nervous time for if anybody's got any people in that stage in their life, you know what I'm talking about, because they're hearing all this talk at school around how they just not good enough to get into the schools that they want. And I'm telling you, man, that's just the biggest crock of whatever. Man, our Black girls and our Black boys and our brown kids, man, they are more than good. If they're in these schools where they ain't having these conversations about applying to these kind of schools that they thinking they're not going to get into, that's good from the start, right? They got parents like you that's listening, that's tuning in today, that knows that they got some good morals, they got some balance, they had them involved in some activities that had them seeing themselves higher than themselves. They're good too. They are good too. So All Verse Thursdays, what is All Verse Thursdays about? Well, All Verse Thursdays is about sharing verses, and verses is the oldest form of storytelling that goes back to ancient history. And actually, it was an honor, right, to be the member of the tribe or the community where you were responsible for telling the stories. The Quran was told in a story and in a poetic chant. Many stories in history were passed. They actually had roles as storytellers, right? And they would make them. If you read the Bible, Psalms, David was writing poetry, and Solomon, and so like putting verse together is a thing that's older than time, probably. Like, well, not older than time. I think that's kind of hard to do, but as old as time. It's as old as time, and so. What we do here at All Verse is look to bring you different artists from across the world that specialize in all sorts of things, whether they are poets, whether they are songwriters, music producers, movie producers. We're going to do in 2021, we're going to bring together some DJs and have them share some of their verse and their story. But it's more than just sharing their verse, because we want you to be entertained. We want you to have some fun, right? We want you to hear some things that maybe you haven't heard before. But we're also going to talk about their journey and purpose, their journey and their purpose. And we're talking about something that might just touch one person listening's life, to have them make a different decision, to have their life turn out in such a way that it affects the others' lives who they interact with. Because no matter what, no matter whether we live alone, we think we own it on our own because people have let us down, we are not an island, and we are not independent. Independent is a false ideal that's been put into us from somewhere that was false as well. We are interdependent beings. The whole universe. Just look outside. Try not to have no plants and see what happens. See if you're gonna be breathing. Right. Try not to have any water present and see if you're gonna be alive. But we are interdependent beings. That's the way this planet works, and so that's the way we get to work together. So All Verse Thursdays is going to bring verse and purpose together in a way that I don't think that many folks have done it. Now. Today is October 8th. October is a very special month to me because it's my birthday month. Right, October 24th, I think they say it's the cusp. So I'm the first day of Scorpio, which I think we could say it was the last day of Libra. And so I don't know what that really means. The people that know me, I'm sure they have some opinions. But what I will say is I'm a very interesting person that has a lot of dynamic sides. And one of the things I was doing, I was listening, and I want to get ready to open this up and open up with a poem that I wrote. But before that, let's just take a moment to set the pace. Those that are here, hey, Tonya Johnson, it's good to see you. I am excited, and Lord, thank you. Thank you, because right now is a gift, and it's called the present. And in this moment, in this exchange, even though we're virtual, we're on the internet, as some of them say, maybe you're on Twitch or Facebook, or maybe you're watching the replay. We know that right in this moment, we just take a minute to breathe. And in that breath, it unites us in our oneness. It gives us an opportunity to connect to the love and to the joy that is present not only within us, but around us, and to create that love and joy around us. And right now we're saying that tonight this show is going to do something that is never done before, in a way that is never done before. And we thank all those who tuned in and listening. Thank you for your support. All Verse Thursdays, y'all. Hey, if you're on Facebook, we appreciate it. But if you haven't made the switch to Twitch, make the switch to Twitch. I'm telling you, because when we get over to Twitch, we can do all sorts of things. Also, it gives us an international platform. It lets us play music uninterrupted. You know, 2 weeks ago, I had the show, the kickoff show, and I was playing a couple of songs that I didn't think they were going to be high profile. But I got a message back from Facebook. They said, man, you've been blocked in 249 countries. YouTube wouldn't place the video, even though we're streaming on YouTube right now. So make a switch to Twitch. So follow us over there. You see it going across the bottom. Switch to Twitch. You can follow us at twitch.tv/Niyah Center. NIYAHCENTR. Niyah Center. Right? And there's some good DJs over there too, man. Some good music. It's a lot of good other stuff on Twitch. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. So let's start off with something that I saw last night. Maybe a few of you saw, was the debates. And, of course, you had to fly on the head. I'm not going to talk about that. So many memes and things out there that just had me laughing hard about it. If you saw the debate, you can go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. If you saw the debate, put a 1 in the chat. But I want to talk about Kamala. Right, and just so proud. I'm a HBCU grad. I went to Florida A&M, FAMU in the house. This is our month. Most HBCUs have homecoming in this month, so there's a lot of energy around homecomings. The New York Times had an article around homecoming, which was actually an excellent piece. Jana Johnson, my homegirl, shared it with me, and I shared it with a couple of folks. But it's really an outstanding piece that talks about just the connection to what homecoming means, because in our lives, many of us that have gone on from college and maybe work in some spaces that didn't look like college did, if you were at a historically Black college, you don't get many opportunities just to feel free to let your hair down and be yourself and connect it and be loved and respected for who you are. And so it's really a great honor to be able to go to the homecoming and have a homecoming and have the fish fries and the tailgates and the people getting together telling stories. And everybody, doesn't matter what you do outside of when you're not at homecoming, you're there as just one great big family to have fun. And so if you haven't had a chance to make it to a HBCU homecoming, get to one in 2021, assuming that, it's safe to travel and all of that, right? Get to one in 2021. I hear that rhyme. This is a poetry show, so that rhyme. So what I want to do is I was watching, and a lot of folks was commenting on Kamala's side eyes that she would give Pence, right? And she looked at him, and I think at one time she did something like, "I'm speaking." So I got a piece of work. I'm speaking. So it's, I'm speaking. No more needs to be said. Huh. Your head must be filled with lead. I know you don't want to hear what I got to say, and I'm going to say it anyway. I'm speaking. You heard me right? That means shut your mouth. You finna get cussed up out. I'm speaking. You heard me the first time. I'm not going to tell you again. Better zip your lip before my backhand becomes your best friend. I'm speaking. Oh, you heard this before? Maybe you tried to walk away, thought you was slick, could slide out the front door. I'm speaking, I said, as she went upside your head. All that cool shit you thought you was on went away real quick. The coolness in you was immediately dead. I'm speaking. It was not to be played with. It was not to be taken light. Ignore it if you want. And it will be interpreted as, you must want to get your ass whooped tonight. That's that piece, y'all. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. So yeah, thank you, Kamala, for the inspiration for that piece. I'm speaking, and I just would love to get your comments. If you're out there in the Twitch world, go ahead and just put something in. Let us know you're here. Let us know how you're doing tonight. Let me tell you this. We're looking for a guest, and I think they had an emergency, so they may not be able to join us. So we're on straight audible, right? And that's okay because we said when we show up, God will show out. When we show up, God will show out. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Niyah Center, right? Because we haven't talked about Niyah Center. Hey, good. Yeah, I'm not in New York anymore, as I said. We're glad to be in Maryland as well. So every now and then, I'm gonna take a look down at the comments, right? And I'll respond to the comments. But please go ahead and put your comments in because it keeps us active. It keeps us understanding because I'm speaking to a blind audience. But let me tell you a little bit about the Niyah Center. The Niyah Center means Niyah. The word means purpose, right? And talking about living your divine purpose in such a way that that changes not only your particular circumstances and situations, but those around you, right? And so the purpose of the Niyah Center is to educate, engage, and empower people to really live in that divine purpose. And so we bring you programming that just speaks to that. So many of you may be familiar with Sacred Space Sunday. We have that every other Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on Twitch TV/Niyah Center. We still multicast to the other channels, YouTube and Facebook. If you can't get to one, get to the other. Tell a friend about it. And what we do on the Sacred Space Sunday is we really bring you our insights and interpretations on ancient texts, sacred traditions, right? Now, if I back up, our program is an interfaith program. We welcome people of all traditions, right? All faiths, even those that say, I don't have a faith. That's a faith in itself, right? So we welcome all because what we believe is that there's a concept called oneness where we can all come together and listen and support each other and moving powerfully forward in life. And so our formula is insight plus application equals results. So Naomi and I generally will share some insight around a topic, a spiritual related topic. Then we'll actually provide an application that you can put into your life right then, today, right now, and have your life be different. That is the formula for all of Niyah Center programs. And so ALLVERSE is the same way. We want to bring you verse, but also talk about purpose. verse, but also talk about purpose. So, you know, we can't do this without your support. We can't do this without you listening. We can't do this without you tuning in. We can't do this without you following us, right? We can't do this without your financial support for those that are so inclined, because we bring all sorts of programmers and we're in a commitment to do it either way. Either way, we're in a commitment to do it. Yes, purposeful life. Somebody says Showtime. I love it. I love it. I love it. Niyah Center. That's that piece. Absolutely. That's that piece. And this piece is about us, right? This piece is about us. And so I want to share another piece that is really interesting to me. So ALLVERSE, for those of you that are on Facebook, ALLVERSE was a Facebook group which we curated about 6 years ago, I think now. Yes, 6 years ago. And the whole purpose for this group was to put something on the social media that was positive and uplifting for the world. And so, the founder of the Niyah Center is my wife, Naomi Jewel, and she brought three of us together, well, four, including her, Noreen Holly, Angela Skeet Davis, and myself, and said, let's create a platform where people can go and share, right? And they can share anything that's just going to uplift the world. It's so much mess out here that a place where people can go and they know that when they go to this site, that they'll have an opportunity just to receive some uplifting encouragement. And so ALLVERSE was created, and we said, look, we're going to make it an open group. We actually don't have any rules except for it must be uplifting, right? And so we allow people to promote their businesses there, promote their things that they're up to. You can post a picture, a video, a song. As long as it's positive and forwarding for the world, it's welcomed. And over the years, it's grown to over 2,000 members. I think close to 3,000 members now. And so ALLVERSE, in celebration of Poetry Month, 6 years ago, created, and I want to share this poem that we created. And we did what we call is a collaborative poem. So, and to our knowledge, this is the first worldwide collaborative poem that was ever created. And what we did was allow folks from all over the world that were part of the ALLVERSE group or that saw the post to contribute a line to the poem, right? And it was a one-line contribution group poem. It's the first one ever done. We think it might be the first one in the world. And so I wanted to debut it tonight, even though it was 6 years ago. I think it is still relevant today. So let me get the piece out. Okay. So it goes like this. If nobody thinks of remarkable things, does the ordinary become extraordinary? What touching lyrics and songs would we sing? If nobody thinks of remarkable things, be encouraged though, the heart stays dim along with our dreams. If no one remembers the lovely things, where would we be in the scheme of things? Just floating, gloating, unaware of time and space and the presence of love and the miracles, majesty we can see and feel. If nobody thinks of remarkable things, that which is eagerly embracing the heart and soul, yet, and for the last time, I offered my body in hope that he would stay, but he used me, and then he went away. And when he went away, I allowed him to take parts of me with him. I am still working to recover those parts. The first part I need recovered is my heart. And those parts were also his heart, his breath, his touch, his moan, his gaze, his mind, his. We were two equal parts, and now I'm one. I'm one full, so full of love and grace to share and give. To the world, to one person to love, to laugh, to cry, to hold, to touch. It's remarkable that I'm still here, still whole for the world to see. And how wonderful to be me. Yes, you've restored my faith that has languished far too long. And I thank you, Lord, in all my sweet surrender. If nobody thinks of remarkable things, then you're blind to the wonders that this life brings. Free your mind, free your spirit, free your soul, and just be. I remark that life is a spark, constantly moving through the dark. Like a hungry shark, blood in the water, the gift. And the mother and the father, the gift. That is the present, so unwrap it now, because there's no promise of the moment after. If nobody thinks of remarkable things, we're missing the magic that makes our life brighter. Receiving the love and joy you send out is a passion igniter. But if nobody thinks of remarkable things to raise our spirits and help build our wings, how do we learn to fly? That's that piece, y'all. And ALLVERSE wishes to thank all those who contributed to this poem, including Lorraine Green, Cinnamon Jennett, Mulaney Singh McDonald, Joan M. Gooding, Liz S. Alexander, Rhonda, aka Wildfire Flower Johnson, Kathleen Cartisano Larmore, Darlene Williams, Kufi Curry Imara, Chris Hoyt, Tina Garlic, Angela Skeet Davis, and Mark Christmas. That's that piece, y'all. If nobody thinks of remarkable things. Woo! So let me see. Yeah, that was ALLVERSE. That was ALLVERSE group on Facebook, the first international collaborative poem that was done worldwide 6 years ago. 6 years ago. It's just funny how time flies, and we just get to look back, and it's still relevant, right? We're still in a place where love's in need of love, as Naomi and I talked about last Sunday on Sacred Space Sunday. You know, that those 3 words, I love you, could change the whole everything, right? And the insight plus application equals results from Sacred Space Sunday this last week was call 3 people and tell them those 3 words. You know, make these 3 words calls. You don't have to have a long conversation. Just say, I just called to say I love you, and see what happens. Try it. It's not, even though you want on Sacred Space Sunday, I'd say, you know, but let's say within the next 24 hours, it's 8:22 Eastern time, right? So by tomorrow, Friday, 8:22 Eastern time, call 3 people and tell them you love them. Yeah. Snapbook, snap. Cool, man. Thank you, Facebook user. We really appreciate that. So my guest did have an emergency, and he's looking to log on here. Let me just see if what we can find. Now, this brother, we're gonna bring him in the stream. Yeah, man. How you doing there, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, my brother. How you feeling, man?
I see you moving around, like literally moving around. Can you hear us? You're freezing up on us. Okay. So let me talk about a little bit of what we're going to space. Blaq, I think you froze up on this one. Let me know when you get back in the stream, man. Come on back in. We get a good signal. You back?
Yeah, we good now, right?
Okay. Yeah, it was freezing up, so you might have some problems with the
We good now.
with the internet. Good. So let me introduce this brother. You know, we had a whole different game plan, but you know, they say you make a plan and God laughs. So this is my homeboy from Chicago, South Side of Chicago, represented tonight, and he goes by the name of Blaq Ice, and they call him the king of poetry, right? And so they call him the king of poetry. Let me just play a little introduction for you, Blaq. Let me see if I can get this popping right for us.
Okay.
And as we get ready for this, this was, I think, is the opening to a protest she did in Wisconsin just recently, right? So let's
Yes.
let's go ahead and see if we can get this shared here. I had just a slight technical difficulty. One more time, we do it one more time. Audio, boom, there we
And I
go.
can share this on my Facebook page, right?
Yep, you can share this. Actually, please share it on your Facebook page. Share it live versus as a watch party. That way they can contribute and be a part of the conversation. But let me just play a little introduction for my man.
Everybody knows my name is King. I see you. I see on the west side. Can't wait for you to take my picture. Black
Just get as much as you can.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
Say it loud.
I'm black and I'm proud.
I can't breathe.
Yeah, Black Ice. Well, welcome to the party. Welcome, Black Ice. Welcome, brother. Good to have you here.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I'm glad to be here. And I'm so proud of you, man. I just remember back in those days on Poet Radio, Voices Behind the Pens, man. You've always been an incredible creative brother. And I'm proud of you, brother.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. So for those who don't know, this is not about me. We're gonna talk about Blaq, but I got my start in doing and sharing my poetry on a platform through Black Ice. We talked about ALLVERSE group earlier, Blaq, before you joined us, and we did one of the collaborative forums that we had put together. That was put together there, and Blaq saw my poetry, and he reached out to me and he said, "Hey, we got a spot. We need a radio host for our Thursday night show." And it was on POET radio, and we rocked for about a year, man. And I'm really appreciative. It gave me an opportunity to meet so many poets, just not only across the nation but across the world, who now 4 years later, you look back, some of them have published 3 or 4 different books. They've done tours, they've been in plays, and so it really was a great thing. And so, speaking of that, tell us just a little bit. Well, you know what, Blaq? I know you're driving. Can you give them something while you're driving, or is that too much?
Oh, man, look, rule number 5, baby. I'm always prepared.
All right, let's give him a little something while you're driving, man, and then we'll talk a little bit about who you are. But
I want to make sure that you guys can. I want to make sure you guys can hear me without it breaking up. You good? We good?
Right now, we perfect.
Okay, let me tell y'all about my city, Chicago. Already over 1,000 people shot this year. Do your math, that's more than double the days there are in a year. Mothers fear their babies not making it home from school. Unemployed brothers ain't got time to look for a job, but got time to be on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, acting a fool. And these gangs out here ain't following no rules. They ain't got no structure, but they knew exactly what they were doing when they denied parole for Jeff Ford and Larry Hoover. See, there's an old saying, cut off the head and the body would fall. Let this be a lesson to all y'all, and I'm a part of some of these Chicago artists who boast to the world on how their lyrics be so cold. And some of them get right on stage and talk about how God saved their soul, but won't get out here and go to none of these schools or get out here on none of these streets to even try to save just one soul. And the church, if you really there to help save lives, then let me make a proposal. If the church you attend ain't involved in community affairs to help save lives, then damn it, stop paying your tithes. And as for the Black Lives Matter movement, you didn't think I was going to let you off the hook, did you? I believe that Black lives matter, but when a Black life is going to matter to Black people? March in the hood like you do downtown. Shut down some of these gas stations and liquor stores that have become breeding grounds for our babies to get shot down like you do those businesses on Black Friday downtown Chicago.
That's that piece.
That's a part of that piece. I ain't want to do the whole thing, but yeah, that's
that's why I was pausing. Man, you hit on a lot of topics there, man. The churches, those that this movement is supposed to be about, and I want to come to that. But let me start, and we're gonna. I think this will bring us full circle. Somebody in the chat said, "Preach and teach, preach and teach." To me, a sinner. Yeah, follow us on Twitch if y'all haven't made the switch. If you share this to your what you say? I was waiting. Anna, she was waiting. Anna Morales Blaq says she was waiting. Thank you for joining us. So I've got so many things I wanted to go with in this direction with you. So let's just start with, we're both brothers from the South Side of Chicago. We've lived our lives, right? We've not been perfect, man, but we're gonna come back to that. I want to come back to that. Tell me about the POET movement. What is that? Because you said it, and I want to make sure that people understand what it is and how you're moving, because you've created something that's really quite powerful.
Well, thank you, my brother. POET stands for People of Extraordinary Talent. It was founded in 1990 on the South Side of Chicago by your brother Black Ice, DeAndre Hawthorne. And I wanted to create a program in which we could take into the public school system where it fused education and entertainment. So I created edutainment programs. I felt that
got it.
That's right. I felt that the young people were learning in a rap, and they were learning in a song, but they couldn't learn the education the way it was being presented to them by their teachers and by the school curriculum. So I was able to put the education in the rap, the education in the poetry, the education in the arts, and as a result, we've mentored thousands of young people in the Chicago public school system, and not just in Chicago. We're in Jamaica now. We're in Ghana, Africa. We're in Hobbema, Alberta, Canada, and we're all throughout the United States.
Awesome, awesome. And when you say we're in it, you're not just doing poetry, you're doing other stuff in the community too, right?
Absolutely. So we're feeding the hungry, we're clothing the poor. And again, the organization is open for membership. And again, it stands for people of extraordinary talent. So you don't necessarily have to be a poet. Martin Luther King said that you don't need a college degree to serve. So this Sunday, we'll be feeding and clothing the homeless and giving them blankets and hats and scarves and gloves because it's getting cold in the Chi. And we can't forget about the less fortunate. So our organization will be doing that this Sunday.
Awesome, awesome. Blaq Ice, y'all, the king of poetry, my homeboy. Man, so glad to have you on the show tonight, man. And you know,
Yes,
we just getting started, y'all. We just getting started. We're gonna actually definitely have some more verse. But you know, you talked about in that piece on Chicago, and you know, Chicago is near and dear to me. Born and raised there, you know, so many first, right? And so many that still won't see these next things that are going to be the new first. And so, you know, devastated when you hear about the murders, right? And at the same time, you know, you know, a kid like me whose mom was raising me in the church, and wasn't no room for like bringing the street home. But when you was outside, I tried to get as much in as I could. But my buddies would be like, "Hey man, you know it's time to go home. Mama ain't playing," right? And so she kept me, and thank God she kept me straight and narrow. Even though I looked to try to veer off on my own, just being the young rebellious boy on the South Side of Chicago, being raised by a single mother. However, God saw something different. And you know, and you talked about the churches and the communities, and you know, for me, it was actually, you know, I remember I lived in what they call Terrortown now, southeast side of Chicago, and the Black Peace Stone Nation that bought a half a block on 74th and Kingston. They had painted the grass and I mean, it was a nice building, real nice building. Video games was the thing back then. So go in the game room. And then we had these two hoodlums, man. They was folks, and they be taking the people's quarters in the game room all the time, right? So I'm about 4 or 5, and you know I was real short when I was in grammar school. And I come in, and the brothers, you know, the old head sitting over in the corner, and he said, "Hey man, y'all leave him alone." And I didn't think he had no reason to know who I was or what I was about, man. And God foresee that I got a pass, because even though I was a square, I was a nerd, I was genuine people. Right, I got picked to play on the team. I wasn't the first pick. But I made the team. Right, and so God had allowed me to. But my gifts and talents, while I was the all-star, while I was a pro, was in doing these kind of things, being creative, using my mind, being able to connect all sorts of people together, walk with kings and queens, be in the streets, and at the same time not be more or less than any of them. And so I feel you got that same gift, right? So tell me about the name, the King of Poetry. Where did that come from?
Well, in any of my monikers and advertisement, you would never see the definite article "the" in front of the word king.
Okay.
I allow other people to call me that. I allow other people to call me that, but I don't use that terminology myself. I use the term king of poetry because I'm not the only one. And when you use the definite article "the" in front of a title, that denotes that you're the only one. So King of Poetry is a brand that actually I created in 2008. And it was to honor those individuals, male individuals, that had laid a foundation on the poetry scene. And they had paid their dues, and they had platforms that they allowed other people to benefit from and come up under. And these were people that were big influences on other artists, on other poets. And so I started honoring people every year. We had a rotating group of people, and they had to be on the scene for quite some time. They had to have put in work, and I honored them as kings. And eventually, I went on to do the Queens of Poetry, and now we also do Heirs to the Throne. And so again, I believe that we deserve to be recognized for the work that we have done. Today, I can say that I have released and published 8 books. I have a total of 30 albums, spoken word albums, and DVDs. I have a total of 6 national spoken word awards. I have a total of 6 Chicago Music Awards for Best Poet in the city of Chicago. And that's just to name a few, you know. And God has really blessed me to be successful in this art genre. I'm an international artist. I've traveled the world. I am the CEO and founder of the National Spoken Word Awards, and this is nationwide. So poets from all over the country come to Chicago during the National Spoken Word Awards. I am the creator and founder of the International Spoken Word Month, which is the month of September. So if I left here today, Brother Mark, and I was not allowed to do anything else with my life or my career, I'm leaving enough legacy behind that future generations could still benefit from the things that God has blessed me to do.
Awesome, man. You know, let me just put a couple of comments up so you can see. Now, this sister here, she told me she doesn't even really like spoken word, and she said, "Woo, that was fire." So, and I said,
I got more coming for you, sis. I got more coming for you.
We're gonna just show a couple of comments, and we're gonna jump into another piece, and then come back to the conversation. Kenny, you said word like that. Niyah Center said, "Yeah, that's piece." So yeah, fantastic. I'm proud of you, brother, and I'm proud of you because I think you wear humility as it should. You know, you wear it as, hey, this is who I am. I'm not ashamed, you know, and I'm going to interact with you just as a regular person, right? And so, you know, I've been on shows where you've been on, and people have been giving you accolades, and you just really humbly receive it. You know, I've watched a lot of different videos of you performing and being. I've seen you at the step sets in the lounges doing a set to like at a venue outside, and you bring the same energy, you bring the same love, and so for me, the king resonated, and I thought about some of the kings in the Bible, right? I thought about King David in particular. I don't know why King David came up, but that's what I thought about when I was thinking about where's that conversation with Blaq is going to go, right? And so before we jump into that, we're going to come back to why I said King David. Meg said I'm a cool nerd. Yes, I was a cool nerd. Absolutely. I still am. Even though I like to think I'm not a nerd, I still am. Blaq, let's give him one more piece, and then let's come back for some more conversation. Let's give him another piece.
All right, cool. So let me do a little bit of what video and we really didn't get a chance to get into. So this is called Get Your Knee Off My Neck. I can't breathe. Get your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. You keep forcing my head into the concrete, pushing me to the brink of this, cutting off my air. This can't be fair. I can't breathe. Get your knee off my neck. 400 years of disrespect. Inequality and it's bothering me, but you ain't listening. The only time you seem to pay attention is when I break something. But you're too blind to see that this is live on TV. Unscramble the line, straighten the antenna. Let's go back to 1619 Virginia, America. This is where we stepped off the slave ships and stepped on the auction block. Sold to the highest bidder like livestock. Since that moment, we've been playing on 2 separate fields to 2 different clocks. And you got the nerve to use your stopwatch. How am I ever going to catch?
We had a brief technical difficulty. I'm sure he'll be back with us. Woo! So I think y'all had a chance to see why I was so excited about having my brother on. Blaq Ice, man, he's an inspiration. He's just a real brother. We got some more stuff we want to talk about, but he talked about it. I'll jump back into this conversation on the king and King David. And, he refers to himself as the king of, this and the wow, right. Right at the point, it was just getting even more. You got the nerve to use your stopwatch, right, Nia Center? Absolutely. And he was talking about, I was talking about the thing about being a king, right? And kings have dominion over a particular whatever it is that they rule over, right? And then kings have a pretty interesting, complicated life. I feel like you got a couple of groupings of kings. You had kings that are just mighty battle warriors, and because they won all these battles, the people just want to follow them and they love them and they want them to be their king because they know they can lead them into battle safely, right? And then you've got kings uh, that are just of the people, like you hear them say that with coaches oftentimes. They're a player's coach. They're a people's king. The people just love them. They understand the needs of the hungry and the needs that are unmet, and they look to move to support them in those kind of ways. And kings and all their greatness, they're still human, even though many people seem not to look at them like human. And we talked about David, and I thought about David and his travails as a king. And so David definitely was a great warrior. And according to the story, David had a really humble beginning, right? They said, they were his people were fighting the giants, the Philistines, and they say, hey man, the giant was out there calling them out. Y'all some punks, man. Y'all ain't got nobody that's want to come fight me. Now the man about 9 feet tall, according to some lore. I'm gonna imagine about 340, 400 pounds. Huge man. And he had a bad sword game. Bad sword game. Out there whipping swords. Here comes the king of Porty. Back to the stream. Absolutely. So we're talking about David, right? And I'm talking about how David had this bad, they told him to go fight the giant. And he was like, oh man, calling all the folks out. Nobody wanted to fight. And so David was like, I'll go fight him, right? And we're talking about how King David was a king of the people as well as a great warrior. Right, but David didn't use the traditional methods. He didn't go at the giant like the way everybody else was going to come with a sword and a shield. As a matter of fact, I think Saul gave him his armor to put on, and David was like, "Man, I can't even walk with all this stuff on." And he went out there with a slingshot, and a rock. And we know as the story goes, then he went on to be a king and fought many battles and won many wars as a king. And he has still many travails as a human and as a man. And so, Blaq, if you want to finish that piece, I want to do that. But then I want to come back and talk about, because you've got some pieces on your website that talk about some other decisions, right?
Yeah.
That you made. I've been married before. I've had pregnancies that didn't get through. I've made decisions that didn't support a higher way of being. Like I say, I want to live now. So I'm no perfect man. And I want to because I think some black men could hear some of the stuff we can talk about on that piece. But come back to that piece for me, man, because you was right at the stopwatch and everybody was holding their breath.
And you got the nerve to use your stopwatch. Back then, you made it unlawful for us to read. And now you're trying to make it unlawful for us to breathe. To get your knee off my neck, I can't breathe. Then in 1863, we thought that we were freed, but they denied our freedom for 2 more years. This is why we celebrate Juneteenth, our Independence Day. Let's fast forward to May 31st, 1921. A mob of white men with guns and white sheets burned down over 35 square blocks of black-owned businesses and over 35 homes in what would later be known as Black Wall Street. And you wonder why the unemployment is so high in my community. It's because of that knee. Get your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. The odds have been against us since the day that we were born. And some of these racists have traded in their white sheets for black robes, suits and ties, and police uniforms. Let me clarify. All cops are not bad cops. But when you stand there and watch, look at your watch while 8 minutes and 46 seconds go past. Knee on neck, I can't breathe. A crime is being committed. Then the good cop becomes just as guilty as the bad cop. As a matter of fact, that makes you an accessory.
I think you love to see Black men wearing accessories like hands and cuffs and chains. Since slavery, we've been beaten, whipped, handcuffed, and chained, and this is a stain on America's history. But when will it change? America, you still haven't acknowledged your original sin. And the reason why America was so great back then is because we were your human cotton gin. So when you say, let's make America great again, are you saying that you want us to go back to picking your cotton again for free? We had no choice because of your need. This is something that you've tried so hard to avoid. Well, damn it, today we want justice from Emmett Till to Jacob Blake to George Floyd. Get your knee off my neck. I can't breathe. We won't stop or pause until there's been a change in American culture followed by new laws. We built this country with our blood, sweat, and tears. Died on the battlefield fighting your wars. And at the end of the day, this country is just as much mine as it is yours. That's that piece.
Ooh, fire, fire. Get
Thank
your
you, brother.
knee off my neck. Yes, brother.
Thank you,
Just,
brother. I
I mean,
appreciate
so
that.
much that you touch on. We didn't have a choice. You talked about the oppressed people, right? Being an oppressed people, and still being oppressed today, right? People and just some of the comments. I mean, yeah, fire, fire, fire. The sister says she bet you have good mercury placements. I'm not sure what that means, but those somebody does. But thank you, sister, for the feedback. So I know one question I gotta ask you. I know folks that how do you memorize all of these pieces, man? I mean, you was
Well,
driving, you was whipping, you was ghost riding the
right.
whip, parking, saying the piece, hitting the stopwatch. I mean, how do you do that?
I take it seriously, you know. I take this art very seriously, and so I rehearse, I practice. I am an entertainer, so most of the time when I'm practicing as if I'm in front of an audience, speaking to an audience. And if I'm doing that, then there would be times when the audience may applaud. I have to stop, you know, so I can't get into the memorization of memorizing it based on a rhythm, because you're not going to do it to the same rhythm anytime or every time that you're in the public. But yeah, I love what I do. Every word that I speak is coming from my heart. I believe it. I wake it. I sleep it. I breathe it. And when it comes from the heart and the soul, then it's a part of you being brought to life. It's like a new baby.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. Sharing that insight. You know, a lot of folks don't want to get their formulas away. You put in the work. You know, and I think the heart leads back to the conversation I was having about the king. Right? Somebody says excellence and professionalism. Absolutely. Fire. The same lady that said you had a good mercury. And so what we know is that. And I'm tying us into David because I do look at us as kings, right? And I'm clear who I am, and I'm clear about who I'm on this program with tonight, right? And the walk and the calling that's upon us, and the responsibility that comes along with it, right? And so you talked about coming from the heart, and so that's what was so great about David, is that he had a heart that God knew was all love, even
That's right.
even in his humanness, right? Even in his, hey, I'm gonna send my man to the front line so I can get his wife. I mean, cold, you know. So some decisions that people would say were terrible decisions, and I'm sure that I've made some decisions that people would say, man, he's not a good person. Even
Right.
if I didn't have that as my intention up front, that was the impact, that was the result. So talk about let's give the people something around. How do we come back, right? How do we come back to God, come back to our divine selves from those places when we made some decisions that maybe wasn't in line with the life we want to have? And how do we reconcile? How do we move forward? And have any thoughts around that?
Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up because you know, we are dealing with number one, admitting, you know, guilt and admitting wrong. That's the first step. You know what I mean? We got to, you know, go to our creator and say, hey, forgive me, I was wrong, you know. And many times we want to ask for forgiveness, and the same people that are asking for forgiveness are not even willing to forgive. And it is a universal process that we got to go through in order to grow. Um, that's the reason why pencils were made with erasers, because we all make mistakes. And so when it comes to relationships, when it comes to life decisions, we've all been there before. And so since we've all been there before, we can't look at someone from a judgmental eye as if we've never done anything wrong, as if we've never been there before, as if we had it right our whole life. I want to read something to you. This is
Absolutely. Go ahead, brother.
Matthew, the 6th chapter. And I want to read verses 14 and 15. Now, everybody is aware of what the Lord's Prayer says. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and power and the glory forever. Amen. But that's where they stop. You don't read this. Let me read this to you. It says, for if we forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father also will forgive you. But if you forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your heavenly Father forgive your trespasses. So when you talk about growth and development from a man standpoint, that's part of manhood. You know, being able to say, hey, I was wrong. There were some mistakes that I made in my life. I created a show that we did yesterday on Poet Radio called Unlock Your Mind. All of the hosts on the show have done prison time. One brother has done 20 years. Another brother just got out Monday of this week. I'm sorry, Friday of last week. He did 10 years. Another brother did 23 years. And so I've given them a stage and a platform to express themselves, to show people how they were able to deal with being locked up and away from their families, and how they came out and reformed themselves. And that's why the Bible says, be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed
Transformed
by the
by the
renewing of your
renewing of
mind.
your mind.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yes, brother. Yeah. That's Black Ice, y'all, man. King of poetry from Chicago. My homeboy. You see at the bottom, you want to follow him, check him out. blackice.com. You also check out his organization at IamPoet.org. Let me just do a brief commercial and announcement. This is the Niyah Center presents All Verse Thursdays. Now, I don't think you've seen a show like this where you bring together verse and purpose, where artists gonna share some hot verse. I mean, you've seen it tonight, right? We're gonna keep coming with it. We're gonna keep bringing innovation, and more importantly, we're gonna bring some concepts around the conversations that hopefully that somebody, if it's just one person, listen, grabs a hold, is able to move powerfully forward because they were inspired to live in their purpose. Because you talked about how you did it, or you talked about how you struggled with it, or you talked about how you overcame those struggles and made some different decisions, how you gave some other people opportunities to have a platform to share their struggles and their overcome. Because as you mentioned, this thing called life, right? And so the Niyah Center, we here because we get that this thing called life is no joke.
That's right.
And so we want to educate, engage, and empower people to really live in their purpose, because we know when you're doing that, it changes the world. You're feeding people in Africa and in the Caribbean, and you get in high schools, and you passing out blankets and socks to people in the cold times in Chicago, because that's what happens. That's the power of living in your purpose, and it spreads. You know, like be a super spreader for purpose. Right? Be a super spreader for purpose. Now you work in the healthcare arena too, don't you, brother?
I do work at Cook County Hospital. For those who are not familiar with Chicago, but you may have seen the movie The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. That character, Dr. Richard Kimball, worked at the hospital where I work at. It is the trauma center. All of the gunshot victims in the city of Chicago, pretty much the majority of them go there from the south sides and the west sides of Chicago. COVID is real. You know, I've seen COVID take some people out. I've seen COVID really hit my coworkers very hard. And it was really bad when it was first, out there. People didn't know what it was. So the months of April and May was really tough working at the hospital. And I was working on the COVID unit where all my patients were COVID positive, but, again, God is good. I can say that I've never been afflicted by it, although my wife was tested positive for it, and she went through the motions, but she got beyond it and past it, and I thank God for that. And God is good. But that keeps me humble, man, working at a place like that.
Yeah.
Seeing what I see, sickness every day, it really makes you appreciate, your own health and the fact that you're able to live in your gift and do the things that God has blessed you to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellence and professionalism. And you hit it on the head. Hey, Harvey, brother, what up, Noob? We see you. Kennedy say he likes that super spreader for purpose. Absolutely. Treva D, The Fugitive is one of her favorite movies. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Hey, I did not know that fact around Cook County Hospital. And I just really want to take a moment to say thank you for your support. I mean, the whole essential workers thing. Back a few months ago, I had the honor to be on be featured in a piece that Alicia Keys and CNN put together around the CNN Heroes. And so, because I get it, man. I mean, I haven't seen it'll be a year, October 24th, since I've seen my mother. Right. And my mother, she's probably got less years in front of her than she has behind her. And so that's not an easy thing, as I think about just the mortality of people. Now, I know, and she'll tell you, my reservation is assured, as you know, if you got one of them church mamas, this, I'm covered in the blood, baby. Ain't nothing gonna happen to me that God don't allow. I'm ready. And so, and all that, but mama, I ain't, right? Right? So, because I ain't ready to let go, I ain't ready to say goodbye, I'm going to do all I can to try to keep you safe on my part, right? And so I talk to her frequently. She actually might even be watching the show. She's still trying to figure the technology out, right? Still trying to figure the technology out. But she'll watch it on the replay if she don't see it live. But what I want to do is, we're going to go a few minutes over because you came in a little bit late. Can you give me a few minutes past 9?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what I want to do is you talked about, I mean, I don't want to guide your pieces, but you talked about forgiveness. That's just a powerful concept. And I don't know that we really give it enough space. In conversation, right? And so, I'm clear that forgiveness has the unwillingness to forgive has the ability to afflict you, not only emotionally and mentally and spiritually, but physically, right? They actually carry around physical ailments, and it can develop into cancers and all sorts of stuff because that resentment is real. And so, what I'm also clear about is you talked about, there's that same passage in that same. One of the disciples says, well, Jesus, how many times are we supposed to forgive people? Right? And he says 70 times 7. Now, I did the math on that. That's 490 times. Right. 400. So you step on my toe. You got 489 more times to step on it for me to forgive you. And that's how I initially took it. Right. But now, because I asked God, let me hear it here in the divine mind, not in the monkey mind, but what's the divine mind? Because the monkey mind been clouded by how I grew up in the streets, what people say, man, how I've been socialized. Now, in the divine mind, what I've come to understand is that really only God can grant me the ability to be released.
That's true.
From the emotion that's attached to that action that person did.
That's true.
Right. Now, I got to be willing to say, hey, it's okay. It's okay. I forgive you. But that release only comes from God. And so when you talk, do you have a piece on forgiveness? I'm trying to see. I think I got something, but I got to find it, to be honest, man.
Everyone with the listening ear of my voice, do me a favor, close your eyes for one moment and think of this. What if today was your last day? What would you say and who would you call? Would you pull out that cell phone, look at all the contacts inside and call them all, or would there just be a select few? Question is, ALLVERSE family, what would you do? Who would be of importance to you this one day? And who would you want to remain by your side these last few hours that you're alive? And who haven't you spoken to for years that maybe said something or did something hurtful to you that caused a lot of hurt, pain, and tears? Better yet, who would you forgive these last few hours? Could you just sit there and live with all the resentment bottled up inside of you? Maybe your mother abandoned you. Or maybe your father was a deadbeat dad, but for this last day, could you call him up just to say that I love you? And would it matter to you whether or not your boo was faithful or true? And would the little petty things that you were going through in your relationship mean that much to you if Today was your last day. And what about the fortune and fame? The bright lights, thousands screaming and chanting your name, the platinum and gold. For what does it profit a man to gain this whole world and lose his soul? What if today was your last day? Would you pray and ask for forgiveness and try to right the wrongs of yesterday? See, the point I'm trying to make is, why wait until you're staring in the casket or in the funeral procession? I'm asking all of you all watching tonight on ALLVERSE to count your blessings and clean the slate. Make that phone call today. Say your I love yous and find forgiveness in your heart, because tomorrow might just be too late. Besides, how can you pray every day and ask for forgiveness when you can't even forgive your own brother, your father, your sister, or even your own mother? Family, look, here's the truth. See, forgiveness ain't meant to benefit him, and forgiveness ain't meant to benefit them, but forgiveness is meant to benefit you. I don't think y'all get it. See, either we gonna practice what we preach or we gonna be hypocrites. Bring me my flowers while I'm alive. Write me my poems, do your tribute, sing me my songs while I'm alive. Family, look, prioritize your life. As a matter of fact, do this. Tonight, when you get off ALLVERSE with Mark, Chris, go home and write yourself down a list. Put it on the refrigerator to remind you of what's important. Everything else, deal with at your own risk. Because every day in life, we get a second chance to do what's right, to experience a little peace, joy, and laughter. And if tonight was truly the last night of your life, then most of the things that you're complaining about right now wouldn't even matter. Everyone, and I mean everyone, within listening ear of my voice, do me a favor, close your eyes for one moment and think of this. What if today was your last day? Stay peace.
So forgive me, Lord, for I have sinned. I wasn't as loving or caring with my words. My actions didn't line up with your instructions, and I interfered with a relationship between you and another person. I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry, but help me to be more like you. Let me embrace forgiveness, exude compassion, and most of all, distribute love. See, I thank you in advance for knowledge of your desires and the willingness to apply them. Amen. And so it is. That's that
Yeah.
piece, y'all, man. That's a one-time collaboration. Black Ice, Mark for
There
real,
you go.
aka Mark Christmas. Oh, powerful, man. So Black Ice, man, we got just a few comments. I'd say what they say, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world? Yeah, people love that scripture. No, Siri, I ain't talking to you, baby. Please turn off. Niyah said, Siri, she be wanting to jump on all the time. Treva says, is this a freestyle? Was that a freestyle?
Well, I always make my pieces personal. So although I write my pieces, I can always add to them as I recite, and I can custom make it to whatever engagement that I'm hired to do.
That's why I called him the king, but he corrected me. King of poetry, Black Ice, y'all. Man, look, y'all can follow him, man. Check him out, blackice.com. And on his, so I say, I'm gonna let him give y'all the answer. Black Ice, what you got coming up, man? In case people want to connect with you and see what you got. How can they do that?
Always, for those who are watching, go to blackice.com and click on events. You'll see everything that I have coming up. The organization Poet, People of Extraordinary Talent, we are open for membership. We are all over the world. If you want to check out what we do there, go to iampoet.org. Man, there were so many poems that I wanted to do tonight, and so many things that I wanted to share, because I wanted people to get a well-rounded version of my art and artistic. So we didn't get a chance to do anything dealing with relationship tonight, but I would like to close, if you don't mind, Brother Mark.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on,
testimony.
because I love hearing your testimony. But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
in edutainment, before you close, you got to tell us spoken house. What
Yes.
is that? I've been trying to find it, man. I know you was tied up, so I didn't get a chance to pull nothing up. What is spoken house, and where can we got some house heads on
We got some house heads. What a house heads at online?
If you're a house head, man, you like house music, go ahead and put something in the chat. Let us know you like house. Put a one in a house in the chat. I love house. Yeah, I know Craig. Wow. Absolutely. We'll come. We'll give them time.
We got some folks from Chicago out there.
We got some folks from Chicago. If you're from Chicago, put Chi-Town in the chat. Put Chi-Town in the chat if you're from Chicago. And Blaq, you definitely can do a piece on relationships and closing. But
well,
I do
you
want
asked
you
me
to.
a question. Now I got to answer the question.
I know,
man.
but I want to jump in before you know. I know you. I know how you move, man. You make more moves than X-Lax. You be moved off.
So people want to know what spoken house is, right? Let me give y'all a sample.
Okay.
Your body, move your body. Now this is the spoken word version of Move Your Body, which I own the rights to. And I want you to listen to this story of what house is all about. Check this out. I'm taking it back to where we all started. That Jack, Steve, Silk, and Farley. When a party did end in the early morn, and at midnight, we just got warm. When your favorite track came on, you lost your mind. Time stood still. You could feel the vibe burning hot. The bass hitting that spot. Music bumping the whole block. Cops asking us to turn it down while we drown in the sound of the party. And the groove is so smooth, you couldn't do nothing but rock your body. Rock your body.
Hey, that's that piece. That's that piece. Hey, big up
That was a little bit. That was a little bit.
Hey,
I was
Mama
trying to
checked
add
in. Mama checked in. Chi-Town.
I was trying to add it up in there, but to go to the testimony piece. For those who don't know, I lost my 15-year-old son to cancer. The hardest thing that I ever had to deal with in my life, and so there's a piece that I wrote called Ego, which stands for Easing God Out, and you can go and check that out on the website. But there was another piece that I wrote called Mission Abort. And I was on the plane coming back home from Jamaica after performing in Jamaica. And my mind, you know, memory and thought travels at 1,000 miles per second. So I went all the way back to my teenage years when I was 15. And here's my testimony.
All right.
I remember a time that I wish that I could forget. Yet it's etched in my brain like stone. Sometimes I sit alone thinking, I wonder, how many abortions have the women I slept with in my past had because of me? See, y'all, I just felt like tonight on ALLVERSE was the night for me to tell my story, because for years I kept it hidden deep down inside of me. It's time for me to let it go now. I want to be free. I can't say that I know or recall every one, but I remember the first. I was 15 years past birth, and I was in love with Pumpkin, a 14-year-old freshman from Simeon High School. Thought that I knew it all, thought that I was cool, but the Bible says, professing themselves wise, they became fools. So I began breaking rules, ditching school and cutting class, all in an attempt to get some aspirations to become a rap star. Your boy is well known to be cold with them bars, but my heart had me locked up, stuck in a standstill. I couldn't see past this girl. She was like the center of my world, and everything revolved around her. Brother Mark, I had never felt like this before. I was even cool with her parents, who for me kept an open door, but that was all before she was late. And no, I ain't talking about for lunch. I'm talking about no visitors this month. And now, Tanya, we both scared, wondering what our parents think. They are the ones who really cared about us and our future. We literally ripped their dreams apart, and this couldn't be mended with no suture, but we got to tell somebody. We didn't know what to do. See, Adrian, we were only babies ourselves doing what grown folks do without a clue of the consequence. Until we had to deal with the consequence of sex with no protection, and it's too late for me to pull myself out of this one, because now she's expected. And Victoria, I'm expecting her dad to kill me on sight. See, my father always taught me to do what's right, but now that I'm on center stage, somehow I've gotten stage fright. So we talked, and she asked, what was I thinking? And Kenneth, without even blinking, I said, baby, I'm not ready to be a father. And see, for her, this only made things harder, so she told her mom, who forced her to get an abortion. And along with my coercion, I can only imagine the pressure at 14 that she must have been under. I was too young to know the procedure. I didn't even care. Only wish that she would have made me be there. Maybe I needed it. See, things don't register the same unless you see it. And now we both scared, wondering what would our parents think. And like I said, they were the ones who really cared about us and our future. We literally ripped their dreams apart, and this couldn't be mended with no suture. And like I said, we had to tell somebody. We didn't know what to do. We were only babies ourselves doing what grown folks do without a clue of the consequence. And now over 20 years later, my child that was aborted when I was at the age of 15 has now come back to haunt me. My firstborn at the age of 15 was taken away from me. Brother Harvey, he died from cancer. Too young to know the physical pain of an abortion, but now I know the answer. It's clear now. I see the picture. And it takes me back to that same scripture. Professing themselves wise, they became fools. If there's any teens tonight on ALLVERSE, please listen to me, man. Stay in school, learn from my mistakes. Don't wait until it's too late. I apologize. I'm sorry. I wish that I could go back, change and rearrange things. If you only knew the consequences that choices and decisions bring. See, y'all, at the time, I was only 15. And I remember a time that I wish that I could forget. Yet it's etched in my brain like stone. Sometimes I sit alone thinking, I wonder how many abortions have the women I slept with in my past had because of me. I just felt like tonight on ALLVERSE was the night for me to tell my story, because for years, I kept it hidden deep down inside of me. It's time for me to let it go now. I want to be free.
That's that piece, y'all. That's that piece. Woo. Testimony. Yeah, Blaq, man, I can relate. I can relate, man. And I was listening to the guy who said I'm pro-life, and I like to believe that I'm pro-life for me, but and many times it's not really my choice. I'm pro-choice because I think everybody gets to make a choice. And when that choice was made different than what my choice would have been, it was real hard, man. And for me, I'm 50. I'm thinking back, 28 years ago, right? 28 years ago, and just the decisions to face with it, and as a man, I don't forget, I can only imagine as a woman what she may carry around. And so and we talk about forgiveness and looking to make better decisions going forward. So just thank you for your vulnerability and authenticity with that, man. And sorry, our condolences for the loss of your son. I know that's hard. That's hard, man. And people say time heals all wounds, and maybe it does. But I got something that I can look at. I got a scar when a dog bit me through my wrist when I was 7, and it's still there.
Well, this is what I tell people. I tell people that the pain never goes away. It just becomes manageable. So I live every day in pain, but I have become immune to the pain. The pain has become manageable. And for those of you all who are going through something out there in your life, understand and know this, that everything happens on permission of God. And sometimes God wants us to go through what we're going through in order for us to get to where he wants us to be.
Yeah, testimony. Aaron, thank you. Jumping in, Adrian, Camille, thank you. Yes, God will get us where he wants to be, because they say that nothing that God touches goes for naught. Nothing that God touches goes for naught. You know what I'm saying? And so, and when I get down, sometimes I look when it was without form and void. Right? When it was without form, that means it was nothing. He said, let there be light. And then they say in the beginning was the word, right? And so it starts with the word and the power of the spoken word. And so we get to speak life into existence. You had a vision, and then you got it lined up behind you. You said, man, I'm going to touch the lives of some kids in the high school in Chicago. I'm going to touch it. You know what? Why not just Chicago? I'm going to go national. I'm going to go international. And it's the willingness to speak the words before the evidence exists.
That's right.
Hey man, I'm just so happy that you've been here tonight. I'm gonna put us a little something on as we just give a few closing comments because since we like house music, I thought this would be one. Can you hear it?
Let me hear.
Let me see. We need to turn this up and make sure. Can you hear it, Blaq? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Okay. So what I want to do, Blaq, closing words. Give us some closing words. This is church lady, and then I'll close us with a prayer.
Okay, well, I just want everybody to know that today is one of the Lord's holy days. It has started at sundown today, so we are in what's called the Lord's 8th day. And that represents the coming of the Father. After Jesus comes back and he has his 1,000 years reign and he has to put all enemies under his feet. After that is said and done, then the Father comes down himself. And so this is what today represents, the 8th day. So we're commanded not to eat any meat, because when the Father comes, there will be no more flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. So some of you all are hearing this for the first time. Go read Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, look it up. But if you can, try to be in compliance with this day. No meat for 24 hours from sundown to sundown. And again, this represents the Lord's Day, the Father's Day. I thank you so much for having me, brother. Thank you, Mark Christmas. Thank you, ALLVERSE. Thank you, all the people who are watching, tuning in, and sharing. And again, stay up with me. Follow what the Poet Organization and I are doing at IamPoet.org or BlaqIce.com. That's BLAQICE.com. I thank God. I thank my wife. I thank my children. I thank my family. I thank my poet family, and I thank you.
Hey, Blaq, I love you, man. This show, we couldn't have done it without you. It's a special thing to have Black men come together in fellowship and celebration and honor of life. I mean, we talked about what it means to be a king, what it means to give back, the responsibility of the community to, like, if you take my tithes and give me something in exchange, right? Like, feed my spirit and my body, right? We talked about what it means to have a walk that wasn't always smooth, and how to give other people an opportunity to reconcile and to come back. And so I want to say thank you, brother, for being on the show. Thank you for giving me the opportunity 4 years ago to start this path. Hey, will you come back? I want to have you again. So I know your schedule's booked. It'll probably be 2021, but I want to have you again. I think we're going to do something special. We're going to do a panel with some Black men to talk more about some of the things that we talked about and bring some excitement to it. So let me close with this prayer. But before y'all follow Blaq Ice, BlaqIce.com, IamPoet.org. You can check them out there on either of those organizations. POET, People of Extraordinary Talent. Yes, and you saw it tonight, right? You saw it tonight. It's on both screens in front of you right now. People of extraordinary talent, absolutely. And know this, the Niyah Center is going to continue to bring you programs. ALLVERSE Thursdays, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, where verse meets purpose. You ain't seen nothing like this, y'all, I'm sure. You ain't seen nothing like this. Tell a friend, follow us. We need your house. We need your support. Aaron, we see you. Thank you, brother. And so let me leave this with a prayer. I'll start with a scripture. It says, God is light, and there is no darkness in him at all. So we are lying if we say we have fellowship with God, but go on living in spiritual darkness. We are not practicing the truth. But if we are living in the light, as God is in the light, then we have fellowship with each other like we did tonight. 1 John 1, 5 through 7. And we'll take us out on this. You are the light. You said, let there be light, and there was light. The first miracle you performed was to make light out of darkness. So surely you can light my pathways today. Illuminate a path of righteousness and justice. Brighten up the spiritual darkness of chaos and disorder. Shine your light on the dis-ease that would come to disrupt physical and mental health. Let the light you put in me be an attraction and not a distraction. Show me the way Show me the way to peace and prosperity and abundance and life. Let my light shine in my home, with my family, at work, to my peers and those passing by. Let my word and my actions be light as well. Thank you for helping me to let my light shine for all the world to see. Thank you, Black Ice, for being here and sharing your light with all of us. Amen. And so it is. And I say, peace.